Welcome back to the channel, guys. I always like to say welcome back because you guys mean so much to us, and we want you to be welcome here with us in our YouTube family here on the Pressley Girls channel. We're so thankful to have you guys, to have this opportunity that God has given us, and I want everyone to feel happy and welcome when they are here. Today, I'm going to talk about some mysteries. I'm going to talk about two mysteries in my lifetime. The two mysteries of my home mysteries, house-related mysteries. Both of them have to do with the house here to my right. But before I do, I thought it would be fun to read a mystery or two out of this little book. I feel like I've done this before. I don't know, maybe I just thought I did. It seems like I've read mysteries out of this book. I mean, I've done it a lot, but I can't remember if I've made a video about that. Something just makes me feel like I have, or maybe I've even talked about this book. This is a funny little kind of like kids scholastic book. Yeah, I'm not editing that out. Scholastic book that I got some years ago, and I probably got it at one of those scholastic book fairs that they used to have for like elementary and middle school age kids. I don't know if you remember, if you were born in the 90s and you went to like elementary, middle school, early 2000s, somewhere in there. They always had a book fair, a scholastic book fair, and you could get a little, I think it was like a little pinkish orange, thin little like brochure pamphlet thing, maybe a week or two or three ahead of time. And it would show all of the little books that were going to be at the book fair. And sometimes there'd be other things besides books. It would be like little science kits and like educational related kind of items, you know. And it was so much fun. We loved the book fair. It was so exciting. And I think all the adults worked so hard to put on this little fair that we all really look forward to. So if I'm correct and my memory is serving me well, then this is where I got that book. So this is 2 Minute Mysteries, a collection of mysteries by this man, Donald. And there's some really good little stories in here. And occasionally when I would be like having a bad day or whatever, like I would just pick this up and read a few things, and it would kind of like give me just, I don't know, like a refresh, like a start over, you know, just to get your mind distracted off of whatever it is that's bothering you. And there's a lot of really good ones in here. I've probably read most of these at some point or another. So I thought that I would pick a few of these out, read them to you, then tell you about the real mysteries in my life. You'll have to comment below and tell me. Sometimes people do experience things that are mysterious, things you don't have answers for. Maybe you get the answers later, maybe you never get them. Some things are inconsequential, other things are kind of creepy, you know? And I'd have to say, like, I feel like the mysteries I'm going to share later in this video are kind of creepy, but, you know, I feel like they're probably pretty, like, mild compared to what some people may have to share in the comments, you know, as far as, like, oh, mysterious things taking place. Because there's lots of mysterious things that happen to us as individuals. But there's so many mysteries that we know of just in history, you know, like the great mysteries of like, where is the Ark of the Covenant? Nobody knows where the Ark of the Covenant is. It's been lost for a number of years. We probably could point back into the Bible and see who had it last, but we don't know where it is. You know, and there's all of these mysteries, you know, there's all these, there's always a line of theories and thoughts and postulations about what could possibly be the answer to the mystery. You know, a lot of people think maybe it was, you know, split into parts and taken different places. I don't know. There's the mystery about the amber room during World War II. Where did all the amber and the gold that was in this room go? You know, a lot of people believe it was plundered, melted down, the gold, and taken other places. Who knows? Who knows? But let's see. There's one in here in particular that I really like. I'll have to see if I can find it. I was just reading it a minute ago this morning. So, okay, I found it. Miss Sydney, New York's most illustrious party giver, settled back in her dinner chair. With an eccentric smile, she applied herself to a favorite pastime, trying to confound the deductive prowess of Dr. Haldahan. My childhood playmate, Jedediah Wright, ran away from home when he was 12, she began. For years, he lived by odd jobs, but in 1927, he settled in Michigan and made millions in copper. Unfortunately, Jed never married. On his deathbed, he summoned his faithful housekeeper and handed her a fat envelope containing cash, deeds, and securities. His parents had passed away a decade earlier. Jed's only living kin was a brother. "Give this envelope to my brother, Alf," the dying man instructed the housekeeper. The poor distracted woman had never seen Alf in her life. Her only clue was a yellowed photograph set in a double frame with one of Jed. Unfortunately, the pictures were taken when both boys were of 55 years before. Moreover, the only clue to Alf's whereabouts was a letter postmarked the previous month from Los Angeles. The housekeeper traveled to Los Angeles and advertised the purpose of her visit. Soon 100 aged men were camped outside her hotel door. Although she had never seen Alf and knew nothing about him, she was able to pick him out of the bevy of impostors. "My dear Miss Sidney, to what ends will you go to stump an old sleuth?" said Dr. Hallahan with a reproachful sigh. "The answer is elementary. How did the housekeeper know Alf? How did the housekeeper pick Alf out of all of the aged men that answered to the ad?" I gotta turn the book upside down because it has the answer upside down on the bottom of the page. "Because of her one clue, and yours, the photograph. It was taken when both boys were 55 years ago. Hence Alf and Jed were twins." Oh man, that's good. That's good. That might be one of my favorites in here. Here's another good one. They're all good. I mean, I have my favorites, but all of them are pretty clever. This is the case of the Arctic explorer. Sir James Harvey, aged bachelor and famed explorer of the North Pole, was found murdered in his bedroom. The $400,000 and $1,000 bills, which he was known to keep in his wall safe, was missing. The police concluded that the criminal or criminals had concealed the money in the house, perhaps in something brought along for the purpose, expecting to recover it later. This surmise was founded upon Sir James' eccentric precautions. A visitor might gain admission to his estate unchallenged, but no one, including the servants, could leave without being challenged by a series of private guards. On the day Sir James' possessions were put on auction, Dr. Hallahan joined Sheriff Monahan in the Explorers Museum. "The sale starts in here," said the sheriff, "but every stick in the house will be sold today or tomorrow." An auctioneer had begun to enumerate for the crowd of buyers the museum's objects, describing them as Sir James' favorite mementos of his 5 trips to the Arctic. The objects included a group of stuffed animals, 2 polar bears and a penguin, 3 stuffed fish, and an assortment of Eskimo clothing, utensils, and weapons. "The murderer has to be in the house," said the sheriff, "but my men can't watch all the rooms." "Rest at ease," said Hallahan. "He or an accomplice is in this room ready to make a purchase." How did Hallahan know? Hallahan realized the criminal had hidden the money in his own prop, the one thing in the museum which didn't belong with a collection of North Pole objects, the stuffed penguin. The criminal forgot that penguins live in the South, not the North Pole. It's another good one. So, Hallahan, I'm not exactly sure I'm pronouncing his name correctly, but I've always called him Dr. Hallahan. He is like a common person. He's like in every story in this book. Most of the stories in this book, he is like the detective and investigator that is kind of solving the mystery. Maybe I go toward the beginning of the book and see if we can find one here. Binks has decided to join me. The case of the open door. Oh, Binks, don't get on the tripod. Working calmly and efficiently, Greg Verner hanged Brennan Traum in the attic of Traum's rented house. It was not until Verner tried to shut the front door that he hit a snag. The lock was jammed. Better get out of here, he thought, casting anxious glances at the dense woods surrounding the house. 2 hours later, he was driving back to the house with Dr. Hallahan. Brennan's been morose since his divorce. I should have visited him, but nobody knew where he was hiding out. I got his address this afternoon when he telephoned me to say he was contemplating suicide. I thought you'd better come with me and perhaps have a talk with him. He said it was a white stucco house, 621 Delaware Avenue, over the phone, went on Verner. Here we are. Hallahan left the car first. Finding the front door ajar, he entered and switched on the lights. 5 minutes later, the 2 men found Brennan Traum in the attic. As they stood silently staring at the body, a door chime sounded downstairs. With Hallahan right behind him, Verner hastened to the back door. There stood a teenage girl. "Mother asked me to return this bottle of milk to Mr. Traum," she said. Hallahan took the milk, and after she had gone, he called the police. "You'd better arrest Mr. Verner on suspicion of murder," he said when they arrived. "Why?" Although Verner carefully built up the impression he had never visited the Traum house before, he knew while standing in the attic that the chime was coming from the back door. Man, another slick one. Oh, I love this little book. I could read all of these. Okay, here's another one. The Case of the Lost City. I'm really onto something big this time, said Bertie Tilford, the impressible Englishman with more get-rich-quick schemes than horsehair in a mattress factory. He fished a letter from his pocket and pressed it to Dr. Haldahan. Run your eyes on this, old boy. The letter addressed to Bertie was signed Baron Stram, Haldahan read. Am positive I have located the lost city of Heliopolis, which was buried by the eruption of Mount Vitruvius in 147 AD. Can you rush me $30,000 to begin excavations? Baron Stram, explained Bertie, came to see me before departing on his search for Heliopolis last year. He said if he ever found the city, he'd let me in on the ground floor, so to speak. A half share of everything, if I backed him up. Bertie grinned smugly. Can you imagine what a discovery like Heliopolis will be worth? Of course, said Haldahan. You'd like to raise some of the $30,000 from me? A pittance, my dear chap. A mere bagatelle, said Bertie. I'm doing you a favor. Let me have $10,000 and I'll make your fortune. I don't know anything about your Baron Stram, said Haldahan, or the lost city of Heliopolis, but the man who wrote that letter is obviously not an archaeologist, so no money today for your swindler, my boy. Why not? Why would he not give him the money? A bona fide archaeologist would never have written in 147 AD. AD means Anno Domini, in the year of the Lord, and unlike BC, always precedes the date as AD 147. That's another good one. That's kind of tricky. That one is a little bit more obscure to understand if you're not familiar with like BC and AD time. But that is true. It is always AD and then the year. Okay, let's see. The case of the locked room. I think I've been taken for $10,000, but I can't figure out how it was done, said Archer Skeet, the blind violinist, to Dr. Haldahan, as the two friends sat in the musician's library. Last night, Marty Scopes dropped by, continued Skeet. Marty had a ginger ale, and we got to chatting about the locked room mysteries till I made this crazy $10,000 bet. Marty then went to the bar over there, filled a glass with 6 cubes of ice, and gave it to me. He took a bottle of ginger ale and left the room. I locked the door and the windows from the inside, felt to make sure that Marty's glass held only ice, and put it into the wall safe behind you. Then I turned off the lights and sat down to wait. The bet was that within an hour, Marty could enter the dark locked room, open the locked safe, take out the glass, remove the ice, pour in half a glass of ginger ale, lock the safe, and leave the room, locking it behind him, all without my hearing him. When the alarm rang after an hour, I had heard nothing. Confidently, I unlocked the door. I kept Marty whistling in the hall when I crossed the room to the opposite wall and opened the safe. The glass was inside. By heavens, it was half filled with ginger ale, and only ginger ale. I tasted it. How did he do it? Undoubtedly by means of an insulated bag, replied Haldahan after a moment's thought. There is nothing wrong with your hearing, but no man could have heard. Heard what? Ice melting. Marty had brought with him frozen cubes of ginger ale. After setting up the bet, he had slipped the ginger ale cubes into the glass. While they melted in the glass inside the safe, Marty waited in the hall. That was pretty good, yeah. Maybe we'll read a few more, and then I'll tell you about the creepy mysteries in my life, and then we will peace out of here. And I'm saying me and Binks. He's sitting here on the... Binks the black cat sitting here on the car. I didn't know where my phone tripod that I usually film with was at, so I just brought this jank tripod that I have and set it up on the hood of my car, and I'm just like standing in front of the side of my car. Crazy. The case of the 13 roses. The single window and door of Wayne Hector's rented room were both locked from the inside. Police officers acting on a tip broke in and found the 40-year-old librarian on the bed dead of a gunshot wound. The flower vendor at the 103rd Street subway station called us this morning, Inspector Winters told Dr. Haldahan over the telephone. You see, every Friday evening for 10 years, Hector bought 13 coral roses. Yesterday, he missed his regular stop and the vendor became worried. The way it looks, went on the inspector, Hector locked the door and window and shot himself while sitting on the bed. He fell over on his right side, dropping the pistol to the carpet. The door key was in his vest pocket. What about the roses he bought the previous week? They were wilted and dead in a vase of water on the windowsill, said the inspector. Hector died about 5 days ago. Does the carpet cover the entire floor? Yes, to about an inch of the walls, replied the inspector. Are there any bloodstains on the floor, windowsill, or carpet? No. Nothing except a little dust. Only on the bed are there bloodstains. In that case, said Haldahan, you had better request laboratory tests of the carpet for bloodstains, said Haldahan. Somebody with a key to Hector's room killed him as he stood by the window. Then the murderer cleaned up where Hector fell and arranged the body on the bed to make the death look like a suicide. How did Haldahan know? How did he know? Some of you might be real sharp, like way sharper than I am, and you might already have the answers to these. I can never figure them out. The dead roses on the windowsill after 2 weeks in the room should have cast petals on the carpet, yet the area around the flowers showed nothing except a little dust. How the hand deduced that the petals had been thoughtlessly picked up by the murderer, cleaning up the blood. Man, that is the mysteries out of the book. It's something that I've always enjoyed, just stopping for a minute and reading. It really kind of uses your full brain power. You know, it's good, sharpens your brain, makes us actually use our mind. I feel like sometimes I go through my day and I'm like, I'm not even using my brain at all. You know what I mean? It's like you get on autopilot sometimes and you're not even critically thinking. And I'm like, my brain is going to become this lump of like gross 2 old day gravy. It's just, you know, I don't know. Anyway, the 2 mysteries I was going to share with you that happen in my life here at the house. Number 1, the first one, I've talked about this before on the channel briefly, so maybe I won't just like drone on and on about it. But one time I was here by myself. I was alone. I didn't feel good and I was going to go lay down and I was going to leave to go somewhere in a couple hours. So I was like, I'm just going to go lay down. And I had to feed my chickens, so I come out in the yard. I walked around. It was nice outside. I fed the chickens. I came back to the house and I thought to myself, I'm going to lay down and take a rest and then I'll feel better. So maybe I should lock the doors because I'll just rest better. And then I thought to myself, you know, that was one thought. And the other thought on this shoulder is like, you're such a baby. Why would you lock the doors? There's nothing to be afraid of. Why do you want to lock the doors? Don't be afraid. Like, don't be a baby. But something was telling me to lock the doors. And of course, now I know that that was God telling me to lock the doors. So I did. And I went back to my bedroom and I was pretty much just going to lay down, take me a nap. And I thought I saw something walk past my window. At that time, I had kind of like big, long, darker curtains on my window. And in my bedroom, there's like windows on opposite walls. So like a window here and a window here. And so this window is the one I was looking out of. And I thought, if somebody walked past my window, they're going to come around the corner of the house. And then I'm going to see them out this other window. I live in a very remote and rural area. So there'd be no reason for anybody to be here. You know what I mean? It's not like, I live in the city. No, there's like 500 acres of nothing but woods back here. And I'm the last house on the street here. So I look out that other window and sure enough, there's this man in my yard. And I don't know who he is. And I've never seen him. And he's got like, his hair's greasy. His clothes are ratty-tatty. I don't even think he had shoes on. And he knows he's not supposed to be there because he's kind of like crouching. And I never saw his face. I just saw the back of his head. And I thought, oh, that's terrible. What am I going to do? You know, I was really scared, as you might be. I was home alone and there was no cars in the driveway at that time. And so this guy probably thinks there's nobody home. So this will be a nice place to, you know, hit up for burglary. So I called my dad immediately. And my dad had just started his first week at his county job at that time. And I told him and I said, what do I do? And he just said, hold on, I'm coming. And so he started this way and I knew, I'm like, it'll be 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And, you know, I don't know what this guy's doing. I don't know if he's going to break in. And I'm certain that man didn't know I was inside. And so, being the country girl I am, I grabbed up my shotgun and waited. And I heard him. He come up on the porch here and he jiggled the door handle. And he never broke in. He never tried to break the door down or anything. But that's a mystery to me. I don't know where he came from. I don't know who he was. I never saw his face. I saw the back of his head hit the back of his body, his stature, but I never saw his face. So that's really, honest to goodness, one of the biggest mysteries in my life is who was this man that had intention of breaking in my home? It's a mystery. I don't know. And I'm really glad that I turned the locks in the door. I'm really glad that I decided to lock the door, because if I wouldn't have, and if I would have just decided to lay down on the couch or lay down in my bedroom and like hadn't looked out the window, I would have been asleep. The doors would have been open and he would have come right in. And that is, you know, that's not something I spend time thinking about. That's terrifying. That's scary. That upsets me. So I don't think about that. Could have been that he was just wanting something to eat. Could have been that he had ill intention. I'm sure he probably had a possibility of ill intention in his mind, or he wouldn't have been traipsing around on property that wasn't his. It was definitely a mystery of how he got here, because here where I'm at, there's one way in as far as the road, and it is our driveway, and it is a steep gravel driveway, and then everything else here in a circle is just woods. And like I said, in this whole direction, there's 500 acres of nothing but just woods. So he either come from the woods, which is creepy to think he was out there, or he either come up the driveway, which I find that hard to believe. The holler here where I live is full of dogs. I'm certain one of them would have barked. It's also creepy to think, it's a mystery to me. I was just outside a few minutes earlier with the chickens. Did he see me out there? I don't know. Maybe he didn't. Maybe he was somewhere else and I just had got in soon enough. So creepy. That's a mystery in my life. It's one I'm never gonna have an answer to. But yeah, creepy. Okay, moving on. The next mystery that involves my house. I was alive, but I was very small and I wasn't here. My Uncle Paul was here in the holler, and at that time we had like satellite TV, like Dish, I guess, probably, and there was something on the TV. I can't remember if it was like a game or whatever it was, and we were gone, and so he was just going to come up here and we'll just say the game, I don't remember what it was, and watch the game. And so he did that sometimes, and like, it don't matter, we don't care. And so he said he'd come up here. I don't know, I can't remember if it was at night, maybe in the evening. Should have asked him, verify the details before I film this video. He's gonna watch this video and be like, Katie, that's not what happened. But anyway, so he comes up here like any other time, and he's just gonna watch the game. And he said that he come to the door and the door was open, like the door was ajar, and maybe he thought, you know, whatever. And so he comes in, and he said he just took like 1 or 2 steps into the kitchen, and he thought he heard footsteps in the back of the hall, like somebody walking in the back of the hall. I mean, he's pretty certain that's what he heard, and he was like, well, that's a problem because they're not home, they're not even here. We were at my papa and nana's house 2 hours away, 100 miles away, and he's like, that's the problem. There's someone in the house, and it's not the owners of the home. So he left, he runs back down to his house, he gets a shotgun, and he comes back up here. And when he come back up here, you know, he's gonna go through the house and see, like, hey, who's in the house? This part is so funny. It's like would have terrified me, and I know it terrified him. So he comes around the side of the kind of the door, like comes in the door, comes around the side of the kitchen, and we had toys in a toy box in the living room, and there was one of them that was like emotion activated, and it was one of those little like Furby toys. And so he says he comes around, and the little toy says peekaboo, because that's what the Furby toy said, peekaboo. And he said he almost shot the toy. He like spun around and like pointed the gun in the corner, and he's like, I just about blew your toy up. Because that would be scary, you know, thinking like, man, I'm in a home invasion like situation, and here's this toy going off saying peekaboo. It terrified him. I know it probably really scared him, and then he realized it was just the toy in the toy box. But that's a mystery, you know. Whoever he heard was gone, wasn't in the house, and yeah, we don't know who it was or why they were there. Nothing was missing. We never found any of our possessions to be gone, or, you know, in a different state of how we left them. But you never know what he heard and who it was in the house. So yeah, you know, it's really creepy. I mean, we live in such a isolated place here, but that's kind of a reminder that you don't ever know. You know, I think the biggest mystery is why people have, you know, bad intent and wishes and desires to do other people harm in their heart. That's the biggest mystery out of every mystery in the world. Why would somebody do that? Why would somebody want to hurt others? God is good. He helped me get through kind of this feeling of like fear and worry, and you know, he helped me be okay with living with the mystery. Who was that, and will they come back? They never came back. At least they haven't been back as of yet. And if they come back this time, Mama Katie will have a conversation with them. So anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Hang around, we're going to be posting more videos. We're trying to kind of keep up with a better video schedule. The last couple weeks we've been a little slow with Uncle Henry passing away. Granny is still really sick and not doing good at all, so please pray for her. And we love you all. God bless you. God keep you. We will certainly catch you at the next video.